All right, everybody. Good morning. A beautiful morning that it is. I am your host, Big Ram. Welcome to Living Room TRT. I'm out here with my homeboy. You can't see my homeboy. He off camera today, but he's with me today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Woody woo, man. How
Sitting here
everybody
with
doing?
my boy Tony. Tone is in the house. What's going on, Tony?
Not much, bro.
It's been a while since we've been
Yeah,
together.
it's been a while. You called me out today on a beautiful location.
Yeah, it's
I really like this location because it has a
it's
basketball
nice.
court.
It's
It
nice
has
out.
everything that. I mean, even if you had to bring the family out here today.
This is a nice park.
Very good location you chose today. I got to give you props on that.
Well, thank you very much, man.
Definitely. Beautiful.
Very
location.
quiet, definitely enough for us to shoot outside and have a beautiful day. Unfortunately, what we have to talk about today is not as pleasant as the day that God has given us, but I think it's warranted. We talked about this in the past, and I think a lot of people really didn't pay attention to it, and it's just sad. Go ahead.
No,
I'm
I was
sorry.
just gonna say what part is sad. I know the tragicness of the situation is sad. It happened in 2019. I had a brief review of it when you brought it to my attention.
Mm-hmm.
But is sad the proper word for what I've read regarding the officer?
No, unfortunately, this is one of those things where I don't want to say an officer doesn't pay for their crime. That's a harsh way of putting it, but reality, it sits right in front of us. So if a lot of you don't know what we're talking about an incident that happened in 2019 where you had a lieutenant who pulled over a young man by the name of you know what, I'm not going to give his name. I'm not going to give the lieutenant's name. I'm not going to give the victim's name out of respect for the family. I'm not going to give the name. I'm just going to... He allegedly pulled this young man over because it was believed he didn't have on a seatbelt. Now, as you listen to the story and you watch the body cam of the officer, a lot of the story matches up into a certain point. First of all, when they approached the car, he had on a seatbelt from what I saw. I guess when they went to check his license, because here's my thing, if a person has a warrant, to give up their license and registration, and if they do it, I don't believe they knew they had a warrant.
I didn't actually read the part about the warrant.
Yeah, he had a
All I
warrant.
read was that he was pulled over because of his seatbelt.
Right.
Now, on approach, because I didn't see the video.
Right.
On the approach, did he have the seatbelt on when the officer approached?
When you see the body cam come on, he already has the seatbelt on. Now, I can't say when the cop pulled him over and when he walks up to him if he just put the seatbelt on. All I know is when you see the body cam, the seatbelt is on the person. When he realized this person has a warrant, it just turns into a whole different atmosphere.
So the warrant was at the point where when whatever took place after the warrant.
Right.
So from what I understand, the car either started rolling forward or he hit the gas.
It is alleged that he tried to run during the traffic stop.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
That's on the body cam also?
Yes. The tussle itself is on the body cam. What I see, my opinion, my eyes, it looks like a person who's tussling for his life because he constantly saying, please don't shoot me. So I already believe when he was being grabbed, some people are nervous of NYPD. Some people are just nervous of the police department. And I have to admit myself, when I get pulled over from time to time, I'm nervous. I get a little nervous. Because you don't know what type of officer you're running into. You don't know what type of day he's having. If he's having a good day, he could be having a bad day. You could be the person to be the subject of that bad day. Anything is possible. So you don't know what type of officer you're running into when you're being pulled over. The best thing you can do is comply. Now, at this moment, from what I seen on the body cam, he complied because in order for you to find out he had a warrant, you had to check the man's license.
Right, yeah.
Once he checked his license and he realized he had a warrant, it just seemed like everything went left after that.
Did it state what the warrant was for? What kind
no.
of warrant?
No.
Okay, and then the other part is that I was thinking about might be towards the end of the conversation was that the ruling on him, the ruling that the judge made for him to be guilty, was it based on, did he have a reason to pull his pistol? Because there was no gun involved, so why did the officer pull his pistol? But then it stated that he thought he was going to run over his partner or something like that.
So in the video, what you actually see is, you see the three men tussling. Now, like I said as I began, when you're tussling and you're in the driver's seat, you might as well answer it. That's it. Oh. Well, you're in the driver's seat, and it's a possibility that you could hit you're tussling, so you can hit it, put the car in drive, the car can hit the gas, it can roll, it can do a lot of things. So at this particular time, it's hard to say, but what it looks like to me is that when he realized the car was rolling, he hit the brake. He hit the brake of the car, so I don't look like he was trying to run. But then again, the officer that's on the driver's side is standing outside the car, so there's no way he could have hit the brake. He had to realize that the car was rolling. The victim had to realize the car was rolling, and he hit the brake, stopped the car. I guess at that point, the driver's side, the officer on the driver's side must have felt his partner was in danger. I don't know, maybe he could have been, there's an object on the passenger side between him and the car, I don't know. But it caused him to fire.
Not to cut you off, but okay, so all of this transpired after he found out he had a warrant.
After he found out he had a warrant, he became aggressive.
I've been pulled over before.
Right.
And when the officer have come up to the side of the window, the first thing they do is tell you to put your car in drive.
Park.
Now, yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Park. Put your car in park.
Yes.
So I'm trying to figure out the whole time. It takes a couple of minutes for the officer to walk back to his thing, run your name, your license, and all that to get a background check. And then, so you are in drive. He's in drive all this time. This is the part I'm not understanding.
That's the part that
don't make
baffles me
sense.
too. That's why
you have
I
to
said,
shift out of park,
right,
to drive or neutral
right,
or whatever, or even shift the car. Why would you be shifting the car? You
right,
wait for a response from the officer.
And see, and this
a lot of times they tell you to turn it off.
And they tell you to put your keys on top of the hood.
Right.
A lot of them tell you
on top of the dash or whatever.
Dash, right.
Yeah.
So I'm a little baffled on the story too, because at this point I'm saying to myself, why was the car even in drive? Unless he felt he was in danger already. If you, to me, he was already parked when they decided they wanted to drag him out the car. They tried to drag him out. It got physical. It got real physical. In the mix of it getting physical, like I said, you hear him scream, "Please don't shoot me. Please do not shoot me." So when a person is yelling out, "Please do not shoot me," I have to take in the accountability that he's fearing for his life at this moment.
Right. Well, I'm thinking, not to cut you, I'm thinking that's what the judge is thinking when they convicted him.
What baffled me is this: you have two officers. The victim has no gun. You already tased her. So why is it difficult for two people to subdue one man?
That's already tased. That's
already
unarmed.
tased. Unarmed. You already tased him. I can understand the tase part if he has that physical strength, because some of these people
it doesn't matter.
Have that physical strength.
They're supposed to immobilize them so they're unable to resist.
So at that point, it's two of y'all. Where does the gun come into play?
So it was a tase, and then there was a shot by the same officer.
That's a good question.
Well, details.
I do believe that he was tased by the first officer, but to me it seemed like he was tased by the first officer on the driver's side. So what you don't see is which officer approached first. And I do believe it was the driver's side officer, although the passenger officer could have been the one who shot. They don't tell you exactly that point of where each other was positioned. But if I do believe, I think the gunshot came from the passenger side. Because I do believe he felt that the driver's side officer...
Right, because you said because it did say that he thought the guy was going to run over his partner.
Right.
So that most likely, you more likely to assume that on the driver's side.
Right.
Okay.
No, I was saying the passenger side, the driver's usually there with the door open. So if the driver decides to, some officers...
They open the door now?
Some,
yeah.
Because you said...
Or they tell them to roll the window down.
Right, well, they like I said, they were being aggressive after the warrant. So they opened the door to drag him out because he had a warrant.
Okay, so
the
just
warrant
because you
had
have a
to
warrant,
be,
you just tell them to get out the car, but then...
you made a good point by saying what type of warrant, because we don't know if it's a murder warrant. We don't know. And I hate to put that on the victim at this time, but it doesn't really tell you what type of warrant it is, because I don't know what warrant is. If a person is wanted for murder or anything like that, or anything excessive on a warrant, why would you stop and give up your driver's license? He probably didn't even know he had a warrant. And it might have been a warrant on traffic issues or something.
It could, yeah. That's my point.
Yes. So you could have had traffic issue warrants that just
backup
got out of
call.
Yeah.
Once you realize he got a warrant or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
See, not to be there. That's why the body camera is so important. Not to be there, and not able to read the body cam, because you got to know there's periods in there. When he came back after he found out he had a warrant, I'm sure the window still rolled down. He said, okay, I need you to get out the car. That should be the first thing. I need you to get out the car, have your hands visible, whatever. Then put your hands on the hood. But somehow you said they was tussling through the window, correct?
No. He opened the driver's side door.
The officer or
the officer opened
okay.
side after the warrant.
Right.
He became aggressive.
Who became aggressive?
The officer.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Open the door.
Mm-hmm.
You need to step out. What for? Because he looked baffled, like, what do you mean? And a tussle. So you know when the officer tell you to do something and you don't do it.
Tell you to get out. As soon as you hesitate, now you being
aggressive. That's their opportunity to be, I hate to use the word super cop, but that's their key to your resisting arrest.
Resisting, right. Okay.
So, you know, we come on, man. We both come from that type of environment. We've been pulled over 1,000 times. Have I been dragged out of my car? Of course I have.
No, I haven't been dragged out of my car.
Twice
I've been asked to get out my car.
I've been dragged out forcefully.
No.
But I just never thought it would warrant, you know, you're just dealing with
was yours warranted when you got dragged out the car?
It's just dealing with an asshole cop. And here's the thing. The whole thing in my situation was to believe, oh, your license is suspended. But they keep thinking I'm my dad. So, of course it's suspended. He can't renew it because he's dead.
But it shouldn't go, well, I don't know how they look up, but date of births do tell a difference. If they got your license in your hand, they seeing the names are the same, but the birthdays are not the same.
But not everybody looks at that.
But
when he realized his
you're
mistake,
professional when you're supposed to.
Right.
So for you not to do it, it's a lacking in your job.
Professional people make mistakes too. I'm not making excuses for the officer. I'm just telling you that there are some officers who become aggressive when the opportunity presents itself.
Okay. They look for something.
They look for something to happen. Like I said, you don't know.
Maybe they're bored.
They might have an off day. Like, listen, they're human just like us. They could have argued with their wives. You know, your children could have got you upset. Lieutenant gets, the captain, whoever it is, can get on your nerves. Anything could put you in a bad mood as an officer, and then now you got to patrol the street. And, you know, sometimes you may take it out on the person who you pull over, because you be like, oh, this person is not paying attention, or they're being that aggressive, or something pertaining to that matter. Everybody has dealt with an aggressive police officer. And it to me, my level of aggression is when they stop talking to you like a citizen,
and start talking to you like you one of their children. Or
and
something.
When they start cursing, you know.
Oh, you not gonna comply?
And this is on the body cam, so I don't know how they're not being held for defamation of character and all that too. Because some officers call people out of their names, but I think a lot of people just don't really pay attention to that. Like, you could sue an officer defamation of character for calling me a motherfucker or calling me other than what's on my driver's license. Because once you obtain my driver's license and my name, that's the name you should call me. But so you got to hear certain things that go on in the body cam.
Well, that's all based on the ruling of the judge. I'm sure the judge made his decision based on the
Right.
body cam.
So we're going to fast forward now, and he does get to see the judge. The NYPD lieutenant does get to see the judge. Now, the judge ruled that he used excessive force, needless excessive force, which means you didn't have to do what you did. You was out of control. They ruled that he should be fired from the department.
Terminated.
He should be terminated. We don't need that kind of in our office. Now along comes the commissioner. I guess she must have surveyed the case or however she can. She overturns that.
I don't
understand how that is. See, this is the thing I say about the Benevolent Association and how strong it is when it comes to police.
Well, that commissioner is the commissioner of what? The police department?
NYPD. She's new. She comes over from sanitation.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, she did? No, she wasn't even been there that long.
To this day, I'm just trying to figure out how does she get to overturn a department head judgment.
When did she overturn it? Because she ain't been in the office that long. She ain't been in the office about a year?
Maybe
I don't think she been there a year. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I remember when she took over.
She took over for the sister. Remember the sister, they found the other commissioner.
All kind
he
of
got
corruption.
corruption in there and all that.
That was a different
That's
show.
another thing that I'm going to talk about too. Now that I'm a free man, I could.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm going to hit them with that. I got to.
That's a good show. That's a good show. Does retirement free you? Does retirement free you? You might be under how you could say a voice hold. I mean, certain things you can't talk about for at least 3 years because you was behind the scenes or whatever you want to call it.
Here's the thing about people who work in those positions too, and people who work under them. When things happen in the office, like, you got to understand, things trickle down. So when they think that people don't know that this is happening or that is happening, or it be the people that sit next to you, who tell your story, who leak your situation, because you're not in bed by yourself. Now, let me just tell you this: in the Bronx, there's a triangle that's formed by 3 sisters. And I think people need to pay attention to what I'm about to say because I'm speaking in metaphors. Wow. There's a triangle that's formed by 3 sisters. One helps you with housing, one tries to prosecute you, and the other one perceives to fight for your rights. Let's just say that. Pay very close attention to this triangle, because it might not be the triangle that you see on TV. So the corruption that comes in the city, state, and any level, it can happen anywhere, anytime. The problem is people think people don't see it, or they think we're just that ignorant. Like, you can't work in a place for a long time and not see
not know some secrets.
Yeah, the secrets, the equality, the disquality. You can't help but see it, because this is what make a lot of people leave certain positions, because of what they see,
what they
experience. So in this case right now, we're looking at a commissioner, and I'm not sure because, like you said, she didn't have no history yet. But weird. She had to know this guy.
I didn't know.
For her to be head of sanitation, listen what I'm trying to say now. Head of sanitation, head of NYPD, head of fire department, head of housing. Now they don't have housing. Yeah, housing court, right? What's housing court
Housing
officers?
preservation or something.
Yeah, correction and whatever else law enforcement that work within the city limits. I'm pretty sure they all know each other because sanitation had their own city limit, sanitation police too.
Ordinances and all that kind of.
Yeah, so postal and so I'm pretty sure they all know each other. You go to these functions, lieutenant functions, and you know. I don't want to say that there could be something under the table because that would be putting somebody out there that shouldn't be out there. Because
somebody need
the
to be
plot
out there
thickens at
because
this point.
you got me baffled right now. Now that I know who you talking about, and I know she just got there, so I don't know what grounds gives her the ability to do that. As far as her position, what makes her in position to do something like that?
Well, let's say this, because what if we're not sure? What if she does have the capabilities of doing it? We just never seen it in our lifetime, where a commissioner overturns the ruling of a judicial system. We haven't seen it in our lifetime. That doesn't mean that it hasn't been done.
But that's why judges are put in a position to judge, because they are that person. Once a judge makes a ruling, that's supposed to be final. I mean, you can always go through appeal and all of that, but that's still on the basis of, congregated evaluation.
Well, I'm pretty sure she had the opportunity to appeal, or she wouldn't have been able to get to that point.
But basically, what you're telling me is this is an individual decision. It's not. See, it's not that it went to a higher group, like a circuit court or something like that, where 5 other judges ruled against this judge. Based on what you're expressing to me, is that one commissioner overruled a judge individually.
Well, I don't want to say a judge overruled the court system, because
overruled the judge because the judge made the decision.
Well, he works for the system.
But it was his decision.
Okay.
So she overruled him,
and they ruled for him to be fired. That's the point that got me.
And they went totally against that.
Yeah.
I mean, if she kept him on a desk job, okay, fine. But he went right back to the same job he was doing. So, what are you saying to the individual and his family?
I don't think he went right back to the same job, because you probably have to go through a moderation of desk duty and things like that before you're able to pick up a gun.
Stated that.
True.
He's at a lower position, but he's still.
It's not a lower position. You just might not be able to work the field no more. Okay. It's not a lower position.
Okay, I got that. They kept his job.
They can't take your salary.
Right.
So as long as they don't take your salary, anything you do is not beneath your salary. So if you put him on moderate desk duty, he still gets to keep his job.
The type. I don't
he
know
just
if
probably don't get to carry a gun anymore. I mean. But I brought that out to come to the conclusion that in order for a family to seek justice in a situation like this, I wonder if the mother of the victim had the opportunity to go to the courts on each trial to listen to the verdict. Did the commissioner sit down and talk to the family and say, hey, this is what I feel? Because
I doubt if that was done.
I know, but I'm just saying you got to look at. I'm just trying to weigh out all the factors before we start.
No, I totally understand where you're going, and I wasn't looking at that basis. Like, do they take time out to contact the family before or after they made their decision to explain the decision? I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
and I do agree. That is a good question. A good
because you have to let the family know that we basically. Your nightmare, because that's a nightmare.
It doesn't go unseen,
unheard.
But to overturn the ruling, I would like to know that too. Did the commissioner actually reach out to you even after she made her decision? To
me, you basically just told everybody in
He made a mistake. Get over it. That's what it seemed like to me.
That is just like the shooters, that right there just changed the narrative of an NYPD shooting. Because you never had a commissioner overturn a shooting. It was always ruled by a judge. Once it hit the judge, even if the judge said, hey, he's not guilty, we had to live with that. But to have a judge say that this person is guilty of assault one, which assault one just blew my mind too, and be able to have it put on his record, but
Put on his record. It's supposed to terminate his record.
Well,
Terminate
that's the
his employment. That means you had to find something else to do.
assault one. Let me look up assault one.
Assault one is the top of the. It's like an A. It's the top of the.
Is that
assault
almost
chart.
like an A felon? No, right?
That's more than an A felony.
Let me look up assault one.
It
It just blew my mind, and the reason why I
Blew your
looked
mind.
at it, because I noticed that the family was trying to sue for $300 and something million, which I know they're not gonna get. Everybody knows that, but it just pains me that in order to get the assault in the first degree. Okay, let's read assault in the first degree, because he got hit with assault in the first degree, and that
assault
right
in
there.
the first degree.
Okay, an assault in the first
Assault in the
degree.
first
A person is guilty of assault in the first degree when, with the intent to cause serious physical injury to another person, he causes such injury to such person or to a third person by means of deadly weapon or a dangerous instrument. Okay, so in this case, they're trying to say because he had the car, he wasn't drive, that he might have used the car as a dangerous instrument. That's the first one. The second one is with intent to disfigure another person seriously and permanently, or to destroy, amputate, or display permanently a member or organ of his body, he causes such injuries to such person, to a third person, or. So I guess they're trying to say at this point too, where the car fits in again, is he must have felt like.
But that's not about the car. That's about the
But,
cop.
right, but he's using the car as the instrument, which is one. Two now is
No,
about
the gun is the instrument. That
No,
the
no, no,
cop
no,
used.
no. You have to understand. This is
That's the charge on the cop.
right. So
Right.
So in this case, it has to be the car.
No,
Right.
the cop didn't use the car. The cop used the gun.
No. He's being charged with assault. The reason why he had to assault him, because the instrument used was a car. He felt like his partner was about to be caused bodily harm by the car.
Right.
So he used an assault tactic to save his partners from being bodily harmed. That's what it
Okay.
said. That's what it
Okay.
says here. So you got about 4 or 5 assault in the first degree, and it says it's a B class felony.
Oh, I
So
already
now
knew
you
that.
have a person who has a B class felony, who's back to work on the job. Now you know how hard it is for a black man to get a job with a felony. Period. He gets to go back to work, working for the same fucking people who's supposed to lock up the felons. Now you working with the felon.
But are you looking at the pattern?
I'm looking at the pattern.
I'm talking about the pattern of your president.
Yes,
Okay.
and I see the bill that he just signed and everything else.
No, I'm talking about just him becoming president.
Yes.
And having a felon. So it depends on who has the felony. on
Right.
whether you get a job or not.
Right.
Because like you said, you or I with a felony, we have to address that. They don't have to address their felony.
They don't have to address their felonies. It's hard for an ordinary citizen who gets involved in a domestic violence, and it could be one time in his life, but it's on his record forever. So everywhere he goes to get a job, he has to bring up his what do you call those things they make you get out of?
Disposition.
Say it again.
Disposition.
Disposition. They have to get it, and that's crazy. So what I'm saying, he never had to do that again. He probably getting ready to retire. How the hell did you get to retire with a Class B felon?
Because it was under the scope of his employment. That's how it's going to be
That's a good
documented.
one. Under the scope of his employment. Does this say a lot about the commissioner?
No, I'm not reading nothing. That's off the top of my head. I don't know.
No, I said, does this say a lot about her?
Well,
Does this question
because
her
it shocked the
authority,
mess out
or-
of me when you told me who exactly it was, and I'm saying, how could she do something about 2019 and she wasn't even commissioner then? That's what startled me the most. So what makes you the best person to even make a decision like this? That's what
He got
baffles
over.
me. It's not well. It's,
Yeah,
well,
listen, he got.
getting over is an understatement.
Okay, sorry.
That's an understatement.
Maybe it's a statement I shouldn't have made at this time.
No, I'm just saying that's an understatement. This is not. This is going. I can't say. I don't want to say it's going beyond him, which is not, because he's the cause of the whole thing. But like you said, what it says about the commissioner, for her to make a decision like that.
Damn.
I would need to see more transcripts of what. I mean, what explanation she got to be able to. She has to be able to explain to someone why this should go through.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't just her decision, though.
Well, that's my point I'm trying to make, because
Yeah.
somebody has to get that final approval, even for her.
I'm pretty sure she had a team who recognized.
Okay, who's on top of the commissioner? That's what I'm trying to say.
At this point, the only thing I can think of is the mayor. I thought the
The
police
controller
commission-
doesn't.
No.
They handle money, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought after the NYPD commissioner it was the mayor of New York City. I thought
Yeah,
he was the
yeah.
only one who could overturn.
I've never seen a mayor do it before.
Me either,
Because they
so-
don't get involved. They leave that up to police commissioner.
But this is what I'm saying. Just because this might be the first time we ever hearing it in our lifetime, doesn't mean it hasn't been done.
You right about that?
You got to remember the police department has been around for over 100 years. So who's to say what who might have overturned what in the future before that?
But it goes beyond that. It goes to their power. I mean, what their ability, what they can and cannot do. I don't think
What's
that
power?
power is the power to have a man that's convicted of murder just
Maybe
go back to
she's
work.
not the
That's
one
power.
that has the power. See, what I'm saying to you is, if she's just a commissioner, what if she's not the one that had the power? Maybe she's just the dog who spoke up. I hate to say that. That came out wrong.
Yeah, maybe she's the one that signed the paper. You mean?
Yeah.
Somebody else made the decision, but she signed the paper.
Right. Sorry, I didn't.
I would think on something like that they would have to put all parties involved down on the paper.
Not necessarily.
I would want it. If
Not
it
if
was my
you're-
family, I
not
want to
if-
know who made this decision.
Not if it's your team. Sometimes people have teams for advice. It doesn't mean that they all got to go down on that.
Right,
on
but
that team.
teams for advice is not for overruling. That's what I was saying before about the judge who made the decision. For that, any way for that to be overturned should have been either through appeal or to a higher board, like a circuit court,
Okay, so let
where
me
they
go.
have a couple of individuals overview what the judge said and say, you know what, that might have been a little harsh. But to just give him his job back, that's
Well,
a smack in the face to the family. Come on.
From what I understand and how the system works, so I'm gonna go by where I used to work and how I saw things being done. Usually, when you have a big case, when you work in law, you have the DA who they work certain cases. The actual head DA works certain cases. Certain cases are warranted for the DA to step off their seat and step into the courtroom. It's just warranted. Now, when that happens, they have people around them, assistants to the DA and things like that, who make these decisions on the law and how to go about it in the best compromising position. So as far as I know, with the boss that I've had and what I've seen, I see about maybe 3 or 4 people who sit at that table depending on the case. They come up to a conclusion, what to charge, how many years, what's fair to the family, what's not fair to the family. Because in a court of law and prosecution, you're gonna hurt somebody twice. Either you're gonna hurt the victim or you're gonna hurt the defendant. I mean, either you're gonna hurt the prosecutor.
Yeah, you said the victim or the defendant.
Or the
Yeah.
defendant, yes. You're either going to hurt the victim or the defendant. Either way, because a ruling has to be made.
So
in
how do
this-
you hurt the I know what you're saying, but you don't hurt the defendant. The defendant did that.
Yes,
cause
you do,
those.
because the
How do you
defendant
hurt
could
them?
get hurt because you could accuse somebody of the wrong crime. That's hurting the defendant.
Oh, okay. If it's
If it's
a
what
wrong
you know,
crime.
I'm just saying that's how it goes. If you hurt a defendant, it's usually because you convicted the wrong man of the wrong
Oh,
crime.
okay. I got you.
You understand? And usually how you hurt the victim is because usually you give the man less of a time of the murder than he should have been, or the person. So either way, you have to make a judgment, and I'm pretty sure as a prosecutor, she doesn't sit there. He or she doesn't sit there by themselves and make that decision. They have to consult with the team. Like, yo, we got to be fair here.
I'm not.
You know, it's not just one person who say, yeah.
Well, that's what it seems like, though.
Well, no, that's because it's just the one person who steps to the front.
And that's not usually how it's done.
Okay, so you know
because when somebody makes a judgment call like that, all names involved got to be down. Just like, okay, perfect example. Diddy's about to be sentenced. Anybody involved in making that decision is going to be on that paperwork. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they're on the paperwork. I'm pretty sure
they
you got to pull it up.
They should have been listed in the no. It should be public knowledge.
Publicly now,
yeah,
it is
listed. Public
when you
knowledge.
look it
It's
up.
not going to just say her name and not say the other 4 people that also agreed with her.
Okay, now I understand.
That's what
you
I'm
mean.
saying.
So my thing is, when it is public knowledge, so when you look it up, it will tell you. You look it up by the case number. It will tell you all the people who are involved in the case.
And then if there was more people in the case, a journalist or whoever wrote the story would have definitely listed them.
Right.
Because they're going to need to be questioned too.
So you feel
find
she
out.
Just made the decision by herself?
I don't know. That's how it's projected.
To me, it just seemed like she sat down with her review board and had to review that. Because you got to review that.
Her review board should have been down there then. No.
That's
See,
true.
but that's what I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing any board after the judge review that and then go with her with the findings and say, I think we need to overturn this or whatever.
It's a nasty situation.
Well, it's most nasty for the family. For the family.
So now I understand the fact
and for future.
Yeah.
And for future stops. That's why when I do get stopped, I make sure I stay visible at all times.
But nobody's talking about it. And we did this story when it first happened, when it first broke, about the lieutenant shooting the unarmed man. And I tell people that you got to pay attention to these stories because these stories, they don't go viral.
They come and they go.
They come and they go. It's just like, look, it's crazy that it's common for people to walk past dead bodies in the city of New York. It's common for people to hear gunshots in certain areas in New York City. Yes, they do. How many people? Let me tell you something. People in New York City will walk past, especially if it's a man laid down in the street, unless somebody report it. Very seldom it's the first person. Most people walk past because they don't want to get involved.
No, I totally understand, but that's not common.
That is common.
A dead body.
Yes, it is common because most of the time you see people lay there, you think they sleep.
Right.
I've
seen that the other day.
So you thinking it's homeless until, oh shit,
I came back and it was gone.
Yeah, I didn't know he was dead. You know, you find the police around him.
Right.
So how many people walk past a dead body in the street and don't know it until somebody decide to say, hey man, this guy been laying here long enough. And it usually takes somebody.
It takes somebody that's seen it laying there long enough.
Frequently,
like you said.
yes.
Because you or I will walk past or walk down the same street, let's say 10 o'clock tonight. If I see somebody laying over in the corner, I'm not fucking with them.
Come on,
keep
man.
Going.
In the area that we in right now, I can say this because I can see it. In the morning when I take my daughter to school, do you know depending on what block I'm parked in this area, she catches the dope fiend leaning.
Right, okay.
She said,
that's what I'm saying.
And her thing is, Daddy, what's wrong with him? He's just sick, baby. He needs some more than medicine that's just not required for you. You know, I try to keep it in a perspective, but if you see it every day, and somebody in your classroom say, who's that? Oh, that's just the man who needs his medicine in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how the parent explained the everyday process.
That's what they share.
You know what I mean? So it's an everyday thing depending on where you live. I'm sorry, it is.
I've seen that the other day.
Crime, murder, kids losing friends at 5, 6, 7, 12 years old. It's normal. If you got a childhood friend and you make it to your 30s and 40s, y'all celebrate different. Because you might not get together like you used to and pop the bottles and do all that. When y'all get together, y'all might cry. Because you can't believe that you even made it this far. That you could even sit there and say that, you know what, Lord, I made it through 50 years. How many of our friends right now, both of us sitting in our 50s at this table, can say a lot of our friends came with us? We can't say that. Right. We lost more friends on the way up than we did standing on top.
Of course.
Okay, so
it's called time.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's an everyday occurrence, and most of them die by violent hands.
Well, not really. A lot of them died by not taking care of themselves.
Well,
That's a whole nother thing.
what about the ones that die by violent hands?
Well, it's said that you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
And it becomes normal.
That becomes normal because the way of life.
That's all I'm explaining.
Right, but what I'm seeing
you
on the ones
live
that did survive through that,
They
are
tell the
not
story.
taking care of themselves. Now they're dying on different.
Well, you know, back then
a
lot of us didn't go to hospitals and doctors the way we do now.
Might have got cut and didn't go get the
We didn't appreciate
antibiotics and all
ourselves the
that.
way we do now. You know, it's different. When you're older, it's different. So I'm just bringing that factor up to just say, people, you know, today we reported on a situation where you had a lieutenant. I don't know if he made a mistake. I don't know if he had poor judgment, but I know he was charged with a Class B felon, and he was allowed to keep his job. And we just had a president who went through the same thing and was allowed to run for president. So how can you tell these people that if you have a felon that it's hard for you to get a job when your felons are carrying guns and becoming presidents of the United States? What kind of messages are we sending to our young youth, that even if you make a mistake as a felon in your youth, you should be able to correct it? These motherfuckers went on to be the president of the world and lieutenants of the NYPD department.
What it says is never too late to be whatever you
want
to be.
Yeah, it's all right to do what you want to do until it's time to do what you meant to do.
Nah.
I'm just saying, that's just an old saying that just goes.
You would have to be really privileged, and that's something that we normally don't have as a people.
True.
To be really privileged against crimes.
True.
You would have to really be privileged. We are still watching it go through. We got he wasn't convicted of anything. To my Adams, I think he's the closest one to. He might keep his job.
Here's a man who ran on a party who decided to run on the independent party, and I said to somebody, why?
But because he don't believe the Democrats gonna stand by him this time. But there was the Democrats that got you in office. See, that's a whole nother show.
I always tell people, when you dance with the devil, expect for him to tap you on the shoulder. You cannot dance with the devil and expect him to sit down for every song.
He going to dance back with you?
You know what I'm saying? He going to tap you on the shoulder again because, hey, man, I enjoyed the dance. You'd enjoy it because you didn't tell me to sit down. You understand? So, I listen. You think that if we became somebody important, that nobody's going to dig into our background and things like that? Regardless of what they may find, neither one of us are ashamed of what we've done or where we've been. But the point is, it does come up. So, listen, I can't expect like I did. I had my dance with the devil. Thank God I asked him to sit down, you know, because God tapped me on my shoulder and said, hey, man, I have this next dance. And the God never sat down. So, I'm blessed. But anyway, thank you for listening to Living Room TRT. We appreciate it. It is a gorgeous day. Actually, the day after 4th of July. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, do all that. PayPal, Living Room TRT, LIVINROOM TRT. We in the PayPal. Please send us nothing. Please send us nothing.
Please send us nothing. Also like to shout out Alkaline Water.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out Alkaline Water.
But you gotta, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I gotta produce. I know.
No. You gotta get the name of the water company.
I know. But right now it'll be Alkaline Water.
Yeah,
so.
I like to shout
out to Alkaline Water.
Shout out on the location again. It was a very perfect spot. I think
well,
I'm gonna be out here with you.
Appreciate it, man.
On a regular. I actually like this spot.
It is a nice spot.
Nothing to see wrong with this spot except we didn't bring the kids with us.
Yeah.
And at our age, that's the grands.
You know, this will be. You're right. I can bring the kids and the dog.
Yeah, and the dog, because they can't get out.
They can't get out. Everybody
just close that door over there, close that gate over there, and they can run around.
Everybody can run around free. But yeah, this was one of those things. So, you know, people pay attention. Everybody with a badge ain't safe. I hate to say it that way, but everybody with a badge ain't safe. You have to make your own judgment. Make your own judgment. And for God's sake, please don't try to challenge the police. Please don't do that. If you're intelligent enough to use your mind, body, and soul let it come all out your mouth.
Let it come on out your mouth.
Let it come on out your mouth. If your mind is right, your body is strong, and your soul is willing, let it come out your mouth the correct way. Back them off with what you know, not how strong you are. Back them off with what you know. Because sometimes what you know will scare the person who don't know it at all. Because they don't know the law. I'm telling you, they don't know the law.
Police?
Yeah, they don't know the law. They don't know the law. They just go by the basics.
Well, maybe they
That's
know
why
the
you see
law.
on every arrest, it always says resisting arrest. Because it's a justified means to put the cuffs on you. And I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm out. Y'all have a good afternoon. Enjoy your rest of your
Yes,
weekend.
it's a blessed day.